Hello, Formula One fans all around the globe. Thank you for watching the program. You are in Paddock headquarters. Here we talk all things Formula One on the regular. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe. Make sure you throw a little feedback in the comments if something touches base with you or if you want to contribute to the conversation. Now, I have to, before we get too far away from the Qatar Grand Prix, I have to acknowledge and congratulate McLaren for that world record pit stop. 1.8 seconds with Lando Norris in the car, and it was incredible. I remember even just watching it during the race, and I was like, wow, did that really just happen? And of course, in fact, it was confirmed. McLaren's pit crew sets a global record, 1.8 seconds. And, you know, when you're watching Formula One, there's three areas where you need to perform to be successful. The drivers, the athletes need to perform in one area. The pit crew and strategy crew need to perform in a second area. And the mechanical performance of the car, right? So you have the drivers, the car itself, and then you have strategy and pit. And McLaren has just done an incredible job. Obviously, they have two A-plus drivers. Their car, the improvement of their car from the beginning of the season till now has really just been incredible, because most Formula One fans thought if somebody's going to ultimately end up competing and chasing Red Bull, that it would either be Mercedes or Ferrari. And McLaren has really just fit right into that race nicely with the improvement of their car, with the driver's performance. And now it looks like, you know, their strategy and their pit crew has really laid down a gauntlet. They've, you know, hey, we're here to play. And a real challenge to the Red Bull team, who obviously is very, very fast with their pit stops on a regular basis. It was fun. It's exciting to watch. We'll see what happens with the pit race the rest of the season. So congratulations to McLaren. And if you are a pit crew member for McLaren in Formula One, you did an amazing job. Congratulations on setting a global world record. Great, great job. Now, as we head to the United States Grand Prix, of course, over at AlphaTauri, Daniel Ricciardo is expected back in the car. Liam Lawson will go back to a reserve status role. He's run 4 or 5 races, did an incredible bang-up job, and he'll clearly find work. If not next season, if he has to wait one more season, then, you know, so be it. But he's clearly got a job for him in the future in Formula One, and he deserves it. Now, I think the pressure, you know, there's all of this talk constantly about Danny Ricciardo replacing Sergio Perez. And despite Sergio Perez's incredible challenges, just break down so many times on so many levels, even though he won a couple Grand Prix this year, I think Daniel Ricciardo has to get back in the car and really prove himself. Not just, you know, for AlphaTauri, but certainly to be mentioned with that second Red Bull seat. You know, there's a lot of talent out there. And so many of these writers and Formula One media folks just automatically put Danny Ricciardo in the car next to Max Verstappen. And, you know, he still has to prove himself coming back from that layoff. So we'll see what happens. I'm not the biggest fan of Danny Ricciardo, but I know a lot of people who watch my videos are and are pulling for him. So if he comes back and he does well, congratulations. No ill will towards Danny Ricciardo at all. But he still has to actually prove himself in the car. And this United States race, I think he might even need one more race before we see what he can do. So I won't judge him too harshly. You know, if he comes behind Yuki in this United States Grand Prix, I'd still be okay. I'll give him at least one race to get spun up and see where he's at. But I think he has to be evaluated the rest of the season, the next 5 races and the next 2 sprint races. So I don't automatically put Danny Ricciardo in the car next to Max Verstappen if Sergio leaves. And I think he still needs to perform to really make sure he hangs on to the AlphaTauri seat, because Liam Lawson has done a great job. So let me know what you think about that. I'd be curious to know what you think about Danny Ricciardo coming back. Are you going to give him a little grace? Are you going to give him a little room, a race or two, to make sure he's still a championship driver? or a Grand Prix winning driver? Let me know what you think. Final point for today's program, I think I have to talk about Logan Sargent. Now, if Logan Sargent works through his issues, starts the season next year, and ends up being a great performer in Formula One, James Vowles and the Williams team will continue to look like absolute geniuses. They are really going out on a limb saying, we are going to have patience with this driver. There are other circumstances that have contributed to his performance issues, and we're not willing to judge him solely on all of those other issues. So Logan Sargent has something to prove. He knows he has something to prove. He retired at the race last weekend because he wasn't feeling well, and I don't hold that against him either. The weather conditions, the heat was truly incredible. And you saw that even with the winners in the cool-down room, as Oscar and everybody was just completely famished after that race. It really took a toll on the drivers. It was a very, very difficult race to run. So Logan Sargent retires. He wasn't feeling well. And Williams and that team will really, really turn out to be geniuses if Logan Sargent develops and has the talent that they think he does to be a true driver in Formula One. Now, that being said, I remember at the beginning of the season, Logan started off really well. He started off well in testing, and I think the first couple of races, I was very excited about him. And then he plateaued and then seemed to move back a little bit. Sure, there's extenuating circumstances, or some other issues with the cars that James Vowles has given him some leeway with. But let's see what happens. Like I said, if Logan Sargent, and I'm still a fan, I'm an American, he's the only American driver on the grid right now. So if Logan Sargent turns out to be an incredible driver and develops where he can actually compete for Grand Prix wins, nobody will be more happier than me. But it really is just an exercise in patience and judgment for Team Williams to continue to put their faith in Logan Sargent and say, you know what, we're not going to prejudge him, even though we're this far into the season. We're going to give him a little bit more rope, and it seems like they'll at least let him start next season, even though we still have 5 races left. So we'll be following that. More to come on the Williams-Logan Sargent stuff. Like I said, I'm a fan of Logan Sargent. I want him to do well. And I appreciate that Williams and the team are really giving him the rope to hang around and work through the issues. So we will see if they are rewarded. Williams has been continuing to do everything right. So I guess you have to give them that leeway at this point. So that's where we're going. Congratulations to McLaren. Let's see what happens with Danny Ricciardo. Sergio Perez has some work to do as well. I'm pulling for Sergio, as we head towards the Mexico Grand Prix. I don't want him to go out. He's a very fan favorite driver, and I want him to go out or to continue his racing career on a high note. So let's see what happens this weekend as we go towards the United States Grand Prix. Thank you for watching. I know this is a bit longer video, but hey, we're talking Formula One, and I appreciate you watching. Paddock Headquarters out.